What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Trey the Brood Daniels, and welcome to the season premiere of the Indie Corner, where I sit down with everybody from the independent community, writers, artists, directors, producers. Doesn't matter if you're in the game, I want to talk to you. So we're starting this season off right, my friends. He is the writer and co-creator of Legends of the Realm. Give it up, everybody, for Jack Holder.
Hello, thank you so much. Happy 2022 for everyone.
Absolutely. What is going on, my friend? It is so good to have you face to face and to get a little screen time with you. This is a real pleasure.
I am so honored to be here. This is a wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much for having me on, Dre.
Oh, no, the pleasure is all mine, all mine. Now, before we even jump into your journey and jump into all the great things that you're cooking with Legends of the Realm and all that great stuff, let's just get to know you a little bit. So, who are you? Where are you from? How did we get here?
So, my name is Jack Holder. I'm the writer and creator of the imprint Arcane Industries, Magical Musings in a Mundane World. I'm from the New England area, and I hold a master's in divinity from Boston University School of Theology, specializing in church and the arts. So I like to say currently that I'm a father, I'm a writer, and hopefully I come in with good humor. I have something to say.
Nice. So what part of New England?
Just outside Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Patriots fan, I'm going to assume.
No, Steelers.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Imagine growing up here, so like hitting junior year of high school, and that was 2007, when really if you weren't a Pats fan, you were public enemy number one. That was me.
Wow. Okay.
Could have been Jets or Giants, but Steelers wasn't that much better.
Wow, that's crazy. Didn't expect that. See, I'm from Washington, D.C., but I grew up a Philadelphia Eagles fan.
Hey, I love the Eagles, and you gotta love the Philly Special.
Philly Special, greatest play of all time.
Exactly.
It's not up for debate. I can literally say I almost got full on naked right after that play happened. I was... I was, oh my God, I was sweating. Look, my do-rag flew off, like everything. You saw my flowing hair. It's crazy.
Okay, though, but we do have to have that quick 30-second debate, though. What's the best Super Bowl play of all time? Is it the Philly Special or the James Harrison interception?
Ooh, that is a good play. I do like that James Harrison. See, I love that James Harrison play. 99-yard interception return. Come on, that was brilliant. Mm-hmm. And it was like Kurt Warner is actually one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time. So it was like, I was like, yo, this play is amazing, but it's still breaking my heart simultaneously. It's good, but it's amazing. My God.
So if I had to go, I'm going to give Philly Special greatest offensive play. We're going to go defense with James Harrison. And then for special teams, you know what you got to do. You got to give it to Devin Hester.
Absolutely.
Against the Colts, you know what? We're not scared of this rookie. We're just going to kick the ball straight at him. First play, 99 yards to the house.
Yo, Jack, me and you, we going to get along just fine. We going to get along just fine. That's crazy. But that's great, man. I'm so glad that we're into that football realm together like that. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. So you're from Boston. You majored in theology, or how did that work out for you?
It was a crazy journey. So my bachelor's was in English, and I've spent so much of my life trying to figure out how to blend like two of my great passions in life, which are like literature and theology. Didn't really know how to do that. family friend is a pastor, and he's like, you got to check out BU. You have to check out the School of Theology, which is his alma mater. I'm like, no, I'm going to be a waiter and make minimum wage. And then finally I sit down, talk with the admissions counselor, and she's like, let me tell you about this Church in the Arts program, which everyone else uses to become an organist, but you might actually find a different thing.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up getting that degree, and it helped me with comics, believe it or not. I've actually run a couple of interfaith anthologies, comics anthologies, just really reaching out, letting people delve into questions of faith in comics, just letting them really explore. And with those, the only rules are really good quality comics, and don't be a dick while you're promoting your faith. Or being an atheist, just don't be slashing other people down to raise yourself up.
No, that's fair. And I think that's a good way of keeping the doors of free speech open and opportunities for creativity to stay flowing and flowing and in motion like that. I think that's really unique. So how did you find a way to like mend the two? Like mend the theology studies with moving like kind of into comics? Like how did it affect your comic process?
So much. So most of the time, both in comics and prose, I don't start off with concepts. I start off with questions.
Okay.
Like, wouldn't it be cool if something was going on here? Or what would new gods look like in the 21st century? That's how my first series, The Following Casework, came about. I started thinking about a Twitter god.
Okay.
Yep. God sprung up out of Twitter, granting miracles through a hashtag. And it's like, okay, so what does a Twitter god look like? Let's go with the more androgynous Dr. Manhattan.
Okay.
Because you got Dr. Manhattan's Twitter blue.
Yeah, he sure is. That's actually, wow. That's actually really good. That's really good.
And that's what really just keeps the creative juices flowing, is you ask questions and then you let your mind wander.
Yeah.
That's why the tagline for everything I do is magical musings in a mundane world. It's the more you just keep thinking, you get crazier responses. And weirdly, the more you study both ancient works and modern works, then your mind sometimes makes these weird connections. You're like, oh, what if I went this way? And you just keep running. And so that's what really helped me at Boston University was I kept asking newer and newer questions. Did I screw up? Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
But screwing up actually helps you figure out both what works and what doesn't further down the line.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you for sharing that, Jack. That's really cool. I myself never really got a whole lot of inspiration from as far as writing is concerned from religious works. But at the same time, when you really think about it, a lot of religious works are the first stories, you know what I mean, that man has ever written. Like if you look at the story of Samson and like super strength and all that other stuff, like all those stories, they affect all the literature that's happened today. So it's pretty cool to see how you're actually able to translate it into the modern day and trying to create something new from that type of experience. That's really cool. That is really awesome.
Thank you. I always say, like, mythology was our first attempts both at understanding the world around us and our attempts at creating superhero stories.
That's true.
The reason we have such rich lore about characters like Zeus and Odin and Anubis, Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh is so many bards and people like Homer and the Poetic Edda, they're like, okay, we have these amazing characters, and there's no copyright law in 2000 BCE.
That's true.
I want to tell my interpretation of these amazing characters while explaining everything that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely right. So let's segue a little bit, because all that is amazing. That's awesome. So let's take all that stuff. So we got the theology, you have your degrees of literature and all this other great stuff. So how do we go from that and start transitioning into the comic industry?
So I've always been invested in fantasy, you can directly tie that into my understandings of faith and mythology. I've always really wanted to be a writer, and I can totally say this even though the work is not really that up to snuff, but the thing that really got me writing was Aragon by Christopher Paolini.
Wow, okay.
Oh yeah. That came out when I was in middle school, and I was reading that, and you're like, wait, this kid's 19 years old and he's publishing this and it's out there. And of course, I'm in middle school, I'm like, this is great. Read this almost 20 years later. It's like, this is long. It's not great, it's long.
It is.
But it's the sort of thing that gives you permission, saying, hey, I can do this. The comics part didn't come about until senior year of college for my undergrad. I wasn't really invested in comics. I of course had read some of the great works like Neil Gaiman's Sandman and the like, so I liked it. But one of my really good friends, her name Violet, she was like, hey, we're gonna go to the local comic book store because the artist for Angel and Faith, this was late 2011.
Okay.
We're gonna go down. She's doing a signing for the launch of the first Angel and Faith comics line for Buffy. And I'm a huge Buffy fan at that point, so I'm like, screw it, let's do this. We go down, and it's a great time, and I'm always been wondering if I should get into the more serialized comics.
Yeah.
And as terrible as it was, so much of my career has started off by bad works.
All of ours is. All of it is.
So if you remember the timeline, 2011, I was starting to get invested in comics just as the New 52 for DC was launching.
Yes.
Like just a few weeks. So just as I'm looking for something new, the complete relaunch of DC happens. So I'm starting to get so many of these comics. I immediately go like, this Green Arrow is crap, but Batman's amazing. And I love Demon Knights, but I know that this is such a niche thing. And over. And then the next 5 years of 3 reboots for DC and 642 for Marvel. Like, oh, it's been 9 months. Marvel's relaunching everything. Which of course kind of brings you down, but at that point I was hooked and I was just starting to write, and I love the collaborative process of comics more than prose. The very nature of comics and the creation process is just sublime to me.
Yeah. I always like to think of like the creative process for comics is like a meld. It's like a meld of like, even if, let's just say you're an all-in-one. Let's say you're a writer and an artist or whatever. Even if you are doing all those creative processes, as far as putting it on the paper, the influences that you're getting are from so many different sources. It could be from readings that you, like if you were a comic fan, it could be from comics you read years ago, or movies or television shows, or maybe just your life in general, things that you've experienced in your life, and then it all just melds into this nice bulbous monstrosity, and then it's like you can craft it into something beautiful. And that's why like myself, I have always loved this industry. I've been writing for many years, but even to this day, I still find things that surprise me, and I'm just like, how the like we mentioned earlier, like how the heck did they come up with this? Like that process, that creative process for comics in general, is a very unique beast, and to see and like looking at your background, the idea of coming from writing and theology and all that stuff, and the still led you to comics all the same. It's so many different avenues that can still bring you back to this amazing creative medium. It's crazy.
It's crazy, and I absolutely adore it. I love it. Comics, of course, led to manga. I would say, like, one of my favorite works of the last 25 years, bar none, has got to be Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist fan. Oh.
Oh, I look at Full Metal and it's like, it's got everything that I personally want. Fantasy with alchemy, but rooted in a deep science. Let's talk about the seven deadly sins in a new and engaging manner. And from there, let's also talk about faith, but let's also talk about a military state and not just the cons, but the pros in there as well. And at the exact same time, going crazy event after crazy event. And I'm like, this has everything I want.
Yeah. Like I've like you, we came from the same era. I grew up on anime and manga and American anime and all that other great stuff. One thing like which I started call it like it is, converting, use a religious term, converting last year to actually reading manga seriously. Like seriously, actually like trying to get into manga. Because I was like, hey, because some of the stuff the Big Two was producing, I'm like, look, I just can't do it no more. Take me somewhere. And I've discovered a lot of cool creative stories. Like there's this one that I'm about to get the next volume of called Chainsaw Man.
I've heard of Chainsaw Man, and people cannot get enough of this thing.
Yeah, and it is fascinating, and it's a whole lot of fun. And I think that's what I was looking for, more than anything else, was fun. And that's one thing that manga is delivering big time right now. And also like independence, like independent comics, like yourself and myself and all these other folks. I think like a lot of us are motivated by having a good time. A lot of us are motivated by having fun and trying to tell a very good story. And I think that's the key to quite frankly everything. But I think that's the real key to like indies being very special. And
absolutely. So my knock against the Big Two, and this is probably the only negative that I'm going to get.
Sure.
For me, it's not the politics. It's not anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been going on actually since New 52 launched. That I absolutely cannot stand. Which is funny because you've actually posted that you want more of.
Okay.
It's these huge, ginormous crossover events.
Okay.
That don't change anything.
So you don't like crossovers?
I don't hate crossovers.
Okay.
What I hate is yearly crossovers.
Okay.
And
okay, I get what you mean.
So that's my problem. Like for New 52 and Marvel, you would have these ginormous events.
Okay.
Crossovers are great. Crossovers, I would say, is like 2 or 3 books coming together, having some sort of mesh, and then leaving slightly changed and changed enough to really be a refresher for everything. These ginormous events are things that Secret Empire would be one. The Watcher event for Marvel, another one who killed the Watcher. These insanely huge events that you're going through every single book in the publishing house, and they're like, okay, let's throw one issue in, which is just going to confuse everyone. It's going to be a huge deviation from the story that was being told. And then you're going to pretty much try and be like, oh, nothing happened. Let me get back to my story.
Okay. I think I follow. So your issue isn't with the idea of ideas like comics collaborate.
I love ideas collaborate.
But the idea that I was following a particular story and like a linear story, for sake of argument. Just following something linear. Now a massive event happens and it breaks off my attention or my trail of thought within a particular story. And now I got to wrap back around and try to figure out even if it still exists after the
Exactly.
Event. Okay. And on that note, I can agree with you. With you on that. Yes.
New 52, one of my favorite books for a while was Green Lantern's New Guardians. It was Kyle Rayner, and hey, let's get every color spectrum in with Rayner. We're going to have all 7 rocking here, and it's going to be amazing. And freaking Jeff Johns kept being like, oh, and here's this event that you have to suddenly just reckon with. Oh,
that was distracting.
Next one. And
that's absolutely distracting.
And it was like, okay, so the writer gets one comic, one issue this month to himself, and then next issue he has to reckon with Jeff Johns. And then like maybe he gets a couple issues, but that's what why I love indie books. That's why I love manga, is even when you get the crossovers, they're either super important and you get a chance to really delve into everything, or it's so flippin' ridiculous.
Yeah.
And hey, we're not even going to pretend that this is canon. Like manga at the back of the books. Hey, let's throw a crossover in here, and it's just.
And Jack, on that notion, I agree with you 110%. If my story is being muddled down by said, like you were saying, especially with the Green Lantern run, because now I'm following something sequentially, and now you're telling me that now this mess is happening. In order for me to follow what this is, I gotta jump back over here. I agree. Yeah, I agree when things are muddled messy. Jack, I told you we was gonna be like this today. I told you. But that's great, Jack, man. Thank you for sharing so much of your story and so much of you and so much of the things that inspired you. Mwah! Chef's kiss. So let's talk about your co-creation and your writing, Legends of the Realm. Now I understand that you got a Kickstarter, I think, started on. Wait, what is today's date? Today's the 4th, 5th.
It is the 4th. It started today.
Yes, excellent. All right, so it's launching today. My God, my brain. Yeah, so tell us all about your beautiful masterpiece.
So the Floated Dream that's going on right now, it's a brand new 6-issue arc called The Watcher Saga. Cam Ridian, who Trey, you're going to remember from the graphic novella, we're actually going back to his earliest adventures. His very first adventure as court mage to the king. He's going to the floating city of Providencia. Okay. This city popped up out of nowhere. It's floating above the clouds. It is as wonderful as it is mysterious. So Camridian is going there, trying to find new magics, new wonder, as he's really trying to figure out what Danisfire is like. What is the magic of this kingdom that he's now a part of? And maybe what can he do to contribute to it? But as he's going to Providencia, he's asking himself, what is the price of this sort of wonder? What do you have to give up to live amongst the clouds? Now, Evan and I are returning. This is our next adventure with Camridian. And this 6th issue, we're going to be going length and breadth of Danisfire. You're going to see the best of the kingdom. You're going to see some of the lands beyond. And golly, writing this has been way too much fun.
That's always the best, is we actually enjoy it and it's not, God, I gotta finish. Yeah. Like you have the passion behind it. That's great. So, so this is the 6th issue of this run?
First issue.
First issue of this run. Okay.
And what we want to do with each of these, especially because it's indie books, so you're going to know that this is 6 issues, and the 6th book is going to tie it all together. But issues 1 through 5,
got it.
We really want them to be like, I can pick up any of these by itself, and you're going to get a full adventure.
Standalone stories.
Exactly. So
okay.
So yeah, you can. I can easily say this spoiler right now. You're going to. He's going to be done with his adventures in Providentia by the end of this book. Up, down, moving on to the next one.
Okay. All right. So total. This is going to be a 6-issue run.
Yes.
The whole thing's going to be a 6-issue run.
This particular one.
Okay.
We're hoping to do. We're going to do Legends of the Realm as long as people let us.
I know that feeling. Excuse me. I know exactly what you mean. Exactly. But that's great. I'm so glad that you're hitting me up on the ground floor of this 6-issue run. So tell me, what was the I don't want to call it motivation, but what inspired you to write this story in particular? Because it sounds unique, but at the same time gives me vibes of Jack Kirby's New Gods. Gives me a little bit of that vibe. I mean, it could have been an inspiration or what have you, but it gives me, when I was looking through it and seeing some of the work and all that stuff, it gave me that vibe. So like, how did we get to this story here?
Well, I don't know if it is Jack Kirby, but let's be perfectly honest. If you're dealing with comics, you're going to be influenced by Will Eisner. You're going to be influenced by Jack Kirby. That's just a fact.
It's inevitable. Exactly.
Once again, the question that was going on for me when I started Torn Soul, which Trey's actually had the chance to read,
Indeed.
Is trying to figure out my mage. Like, if you're a fantasy fan, just like superhero, you have like your favorite archetype. Like, you have your favorite godlike being. You have your favorite anti-hero. You have your favorite like lower level crime fighter. Like, if I had to go through this like godlike figure, I don't know, it might even be Doc Manhattan, just because of dealing with everything. It might actually be One Punch Man.
Okay.
If going for anti-hero, that's easy. That's Jason Todd, Red Hood. You go with that one, and you go with the original Judd Winnick. And you go for lower level, just having a blast. As hard as it seems to be for people to write him, it's Green Arrow.
Green Arrow's great.
Yeah.
Works. I'm a fan. I love Green Arrow. So I'm
exactly.
I'm with you there. I think he's easy to follow. I'm with you.
So with fantasy, you have your archetypes, and you're like, okay, what do I want in my fighter? What do I want in my king? Who do I want as the politician? Camridian is who I want as a mage. This guy is absolutely everything I wanted in a mage. As you know, Drake, complicated. He's trying to be as lawful good as possible, but he keeps flipping down into true neutral way too often. But that's what makes Camridian so much fun to write, and how he feels real.
Yes, and that's extremely important. And I got that exact same vibe as well. I felt his journey, his motivations. It felt like something I could relate to. And well, not directly, but and for as far as emotional connections are concerned, I can definitely see his journey, how it plays out, and how um if I was in his shoes, how I would do things, and if it felt like I would do the same thing. It was like I
Right.
got that kind of vibe from it.
And when it comes to like the twist of Legends of the Realm, of course, is in the Legends part. It's the story is affected not just by the character, it's not just the words, it's who's telling it. And so, like the first one, we had three characters with easy to see biases telling that story. You had the historian bard who's like, I'm going to tell the classic story. You had the princess being like, no, I knew him best. I was his wife. I'm going to tell that story. In the shadow being like, you both are idiots. I'm going to tell what I say is the story. And it's so interesting because it's like certain facts don't change, but they're how you see them change so much. And it's so weird seeing the very fact of perspective alone being enough to change the character of a character.
Exactly. And I'm a I'm gonna throw a little compliment your way there, Jack, from one writer to another. That's a very unique creative skill that you have when it comes to character transition. Not every writer can do it and pull it off well. I've seen them all. Some of them don't do it well. Some of them don't. You do, my friend.
Thank you.
You've been able to convey that in a very, very unique and succinct way as well. That is not only satisfying, but also makes me as a reader want to see more. Um, so I mean, I don't mean to gush, but I was thoroughly impressed with your transition work, your character work. I was very, very impressed because I'm a character driven writer myself. So to see your process mirror my own was really refreshing. It was really cool, and I honestly can't wait to see more. It's tremendous.
Thank you. So I definitely have to give major props to Evan Scale. Like, as we know, as writers, which sometimes it's like a bittersweet truth where it's like, we know, we come up with the concepts. We're the one writing it down. And at times as indie guys, we're often the ones signing the checks over to other people. But the majority of the work is actually done by the artists.
Yep.
And like Evan Scale, I cannot give the man enough props. His work in this is absolutely wonderful. And my editor, John Robinson, so I get the books from the printer and I start looking through and I'm texting him. I'm both really excited and I'm like, you guys think I made it too succinct? Do you think I really there seems to not be enough words on the page?
Never is.
Texting me back, he's like, you're an idiot. You let Evan be Evan. You're supposed to let the artist. You put as many words down as you needed, and then you walk away. You don't need to fill the page.
Yep, you don't. And Jack, this is a thing that early on when I started writing, I had to learn this the hard way. Because I always had a tendency in my early writings to not giving my reading audience enough credit. That's first and foremost. Because I always think it makes sense in my head, but will they get it? So I'd be having bubbles that have 40 words and all types of nonsense. And I'm like, then I went back and I scaled it. I'm like, no. I'm a good writer. I have one of the best artists in the game. We're gonna pull this thing together. And then when I reworked it, smaller, I gave my reading audience more credit and just tightened up my stage directions, and it worked out so well. But we as writers, that's always the wall. Is it not enough? Did I do it? Not? If you have if you and your artist are like this, and y'all start melding, brain meld, y'all already know how to bounce off each other, and it's gonna work out real fine. And it shows in your work. Absolutely, it shows that you and your artist are like that.
I could not agree more. And I'd say with fantasy, if there are any fantasy comics writers out there, especially fledgling, I know who you're a fan of. You're a fan of Tolkien. You're a fan of George R.R. Martin. You're a fan of Brandon Sanderson. You have books that could be used as crossbow projectiles. Like, you could hit people with books and be charged with assault and battery. If you're doing comics, you are not trying to imitate Tolkien and Sanderson and Rothfuss and Martin. You're trying to imitate Ernest Hemingway. You're trying to imitate John Steinbeck. You're trying to keep saying, what can I cut down? Like, if your book's reaching 200 pages in prose, you're looking to cut.
Yeah.
Like, fantasy at times, it's like, okay, I've reached 200 pages. I am getting through part 1 of the book.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's so true. But man,
sometimes
Jack,
it's like,
it's
that's how it is.
Yeah, it is. That's the way the game goes. It's so true. It's so true. But Jack, thank you so very much for coming on and sharing all this with us, and sharing your creative journey, sharing your personal journey, and sharing this awesome work, Legends of the Realm. So I know we have a Kickstarter, so I'm gonna put a link to your Kickstarter in the description section below for sure. And where else can people reach you and find your other work?
So we've got my Twitter handle is @JackHolderAI. It's in Arcane Industries. And that's my Facebook page, Arcane Industries, INK Industries. I had way too much fun with puns. And then also my website, www.arcaneindustries.com. And I'm going to be sending these all to Dre so he can actually have them spelled correctly.
Oh, yes, please. Yes, please. I'm not an English major. For the love of God, please send them my way. But yeah, so everybody, check out Jack's work. It's all going to be in the description section below. Check out his Kickstarter. Support his Kickstarter. It's great work. And you all know how much I love great work. These guys are doing the Lord's work. So go ahead and support them there. So everybody, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the vid. And follow me on all my dope social media platforms that you see right under my face. They're not there now, but they will be under my face. @TheBrute00 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And check my comics out at brutalplanetcomics on spinwiz.com. This has been awesome. This has been the Indie Corner. Let me point the right way. This is Mr. Jack Holder. Definitely, once again, check out all his work. I am Dre the Brute Daniels, and I will catch you all next time. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out spinwiz.com or download the Spinwiz app and check out my comic series, Trouble. It was written with a lot of love, and it was definitely my favorite comic series to write. I've also written it in English and in Spanish, so whatever floats your boat, I got it for you. Thanks again, and check it out.